to the right resources. So again, I'm going to go over 3 keys to really being a master at recommendations. Number 1, it's going to be your mindset. Number 2, it's going to be the actual approach. And number 3 is I'm going to point you in the right direction of some resources. So first things first would be the mindset. How are you asking for recommendations? I want you guys to stay engaged with me here, and also put in the chat box when I ask you to. So just a heads up. But my first question for you guys, on a scale of 1 to 10, how confident are you with your rec approach? How confident are you with your rec approach? 8, 5, 8.5, 6, 6, 4, 8, 10. Nice job, Brian. So Brian, what makes you feel like you're at a 10?
I've done it probably 500 times.
Yeah, he's done it a lot. And Brian, let me ask you this question. Do you have it memorized?
Verbatim.
Verbatim. So what I want to see next in the chat box, by the way, it's okay if you don't have it memorized. Is your recommendation approach memorized? Yes or no? Put in the chat. Just a yes or a no, please. Cool. So everyone that said yes, I'm going to test somebody here. And I see Scotty said yes with his rec approach. So Scotty, recite your rec approach to me.
Hi, Mrs. Jones. So what'd you think of my demo?
It was great.
Awesome. And so as a part of my job, we only get paid to show Cutco. We can only show Cutco to people we've been personally recommended to. And so the only way I can work is through personal recommendations. And so if we want to just start off with 5 to 3,000 names, that would be great. No,
5 to 3,000.
No, but if you want to give me 5 or 10 people, because if you give me 5 people, then you become a sponsor. And once you become a sponsor, I get $150 to help pay for some of my college books. And then if you give me 10 people, you become a double sponsor. So I would get $300 for my books. And so that would be really helpful. And it is the only way I can work. So I would really appreciate it if you could just give me 5 to 10 people, that not people that would necessarily buy it, but just people that are interested or really nice people that you know of, or anyone who loves to cook.
Cool, Scotty. Well, thank you for reciting your rec approach. So Scotty, do you mind if I give you some feedback just so we can do some group coaching here?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Scotty, that is, you pretty much have the phrases down as far as like concepts and understanding the concepts of it. You've got most of that down. And what I would recommend is making sure that you have it word for word memorized, just because the exact verbiage in the rec approach is very, very important. So I'm going to show you another example. I know Brian said he's done a lot of demos. By the way, let's give Scotty some snaps, being vulnerable. Thank you for sharing and being a leader there, Scotty. Now, what I want you to think about is, Scotty, how you did that approach, which was pretty solid, by the way. You're almost there. And I want you guys to think about if we were to have Brian go. So Brian, I'm going to go ahead and have you do your rec approach here. I know you said you have it memorized verbatim. And I want you guys to notice the difference, not in the words that they say, but how it's being said. So Brian, go ahead and just show us a quick example here.
Yeah. So Jacob, how'd you like my demo?
It was great, Brian.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. It really means the world to me that you took the time to see my presentation. And Jacob, if you can actually pull out your cell phone, because there's one more very important part.
Got it.
Awesome. Yeah. Like I mentioned, Jacob, I get paid every time I show Cutco, but I can only show it to people I've been personally recommended to. So what I need you to do while I'm putting your order through is just jot down like the first 10 to 20,000 people.
10 to 20,000.
I'm just kidding, Jacob. Just 10 to 20 people you think would be nice enough to help me out. In other words, I'm not looking for people you think are going to buy Cutco. I'm just looking for really awesome people like you willing to take the time to see my presentation. So who's like the nicest person you know, Jacob, other than yourself, obviously?
I would say my friend down the street. She loves to cook. We do everything together. She comes over and we'll share recipes, and I think she'd be the first person. Her name is Michelle.
Michelle. Oh, nice. And you said that she lives down the street in Burbank with you.
Yeah.
Oh, sweet, sweet. She's married.
Yep.
Oh, cool, cool. What does she do?
She is a stay-at-home mom. She loves to garden. She loves to cook. Her spouse is he works in the hospital. I think he's an anesthesiologist or something.
Oh, that's awesome. Stay-at-home moms are always the best. I always had like the best cookie recipes, I swear.
Oh yeah.
Who else do you know who's a stay-at-home mom, Jacob?
Definitely. I would say this person. Cool. So I don't want to take up too much time with the approach there. I just wanted you guys to see the differences between the two. And by the way, that wasn't meant to make anyone feel really good or make anyone feel really bad. I just want you guys to notice a couple of really key things here. So Scotty, don't, like, the purpose of me testing you there wasn't to make you feel that, like, if you're feeling like you got to work on it a little bit. I want you guys to just put in the chat box, what did you notice between Brian's and Scotty's approach? What did you notice, as far as not the words, because I know the words were a little bit different, and that's okay, but what did you guys notice? Smooth, I know I saw in the chat box, real smooth. Scotty, what did you notice yourself? Scotty, you can go ahead and unmute.
Yeah, he presented it a little bit better, and just he was still building rapport, like Lindley said, and it was presented way better.
So it was solid, and Scotty, yours was solid as well. It's just a matter of getting that, word for word down. So I'm gonna give you guys some keys to memorize that approach. But once you guys have it memorized verbatim, just like Brian has, you'll notice that the confidence comes out. The jokes can come out. There's 3 stages of memorizing something. So it's like, first you got to get the words down, but then it's memorize, internalize, personalize. So Brian was at the point where he was personalizing the rec approach. Exactly. And less vocal pauses, confident, doesn't sound like he's asking for something. It sounds like a conversation. That's how it felt like from me as well. Brian's tonality was super relaxed and chill, super confident, still building rapport, jokes always more personal. It's a part of the demo. Right. So I still have my rec approach memorized, and I haven't done a demo in over 15 months. And the reason why that is because it's part, it's part of my memory bank, because I've used it so many times. So I go, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, how'd you like my demo? Great. Go ahead and pull out your cell phone. There's one more really important part. Here's where you can really help me out. So Mr. and Mrs. Jones, I get paid every time I show Cutco, but I can only show it to people I've been personally recommended to. So what I need you to do, this is like in-person demos, while I'm cleaning up, is to jot down the first 500 to 600 people who might be nice enough to help me out. Now, I'm not looking for people who you think would buy Cutco, just nice people like you guys who wouldn't mind seeing me. Here I have a pen and paper. Let's go ahead and jot down as many as we can. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Still memorized. So that's one of the main keys for mindset. I want you guys to memorize that approach, and I want you to send your manager a text. Send your manager, so me or CBAS, a text. When will you have this memorized by? When will you have this word for word memorized by, where I can call you out of the blue after this date and you have it memorized? I can ask you to recite it and it's rolling perfectly off the top of your tongue. When can you have that memorized? By the way, this is not for me. I do not get joy from hearing a memorized rec approach. This is for you. This is for us to hold you accountable. So text your manager, when can you have your rec approach memorized, so that we could call you anytime after this date. And if it's not memorized, trouble. By the way, if some of you are like, man, like, I got to memorize this thing. Yes, it's going to help you get better recs, more recs. You're going to have better demos because of it. It's going to lead to overall expedited success here with us. And I know we haven't been super serious about having this memorized, but I want you to memorize it ASAP. And by the way, the best way that I found to memorize the approach was I memorized the first line, and I memorized the first 2 lines, and then the first 3 lines, first 4 lines, first 5 lines, first 6 lines. And it took me about 30 minutes of focused time without any distractions. So if you're looking for a good way to do it, that's what I would recommend. So number 1, mindset, confidence. Yes, 100%. Confidence comes out with the mindset. I'm going to go over a few quick keys here as far as just maximizing and just like kind of the overall approach, and then also I'll point you in the direction of some resources. So as far as the approach, biggest thing of course is going into it really confidently. But I want to know in the chat box who has a notebook specifically for only recommendations or a demo notebook. Put it in the chat box, yes or no. I want to hear if you don't either. I want to know like what percentage of you guys don't have one.
Jacob, do you think it'd be beneficial if they put all their recommendations on an Excel sheet?
I think that would be solid, but I think it would be better to have it on a notebook, and let me share it with you why. So if you don't have one yet, don't feel bad. Have this be the moment where you go get one just for the demos and just for X after. So reason why, it's because I always had, so I had a strictly a demo notebook, and on one side of the page, I took notes on the demo about rapport, family. Let's say their kids play soccer, they're part of soccer communities. I jot down all these little things. That way I know that I can ask them about those later. So if Mrs. Jones says she has kids and they're on the soccer team in the community and they've been a part of it for the past 5 years, that's a big deal. I want to get into that network. I want to get into that community. Why? A bunch of soccer moms, they're all going to be cooking a ton. I'd rather show Cutco to people that will use it the most than to show it to, a really rich single person. Like that's yes, I might sell in a demo like that, but I'd rather provide more people with our wonderful product. So that, of course, taking notes on the demo is huge. So of course, whenever you hear anything important, like let's say it's hard to cut something, or something is really easy, or they're part of several things, or you heard that their grandma has Cutco and it was passed down to their mom and their mom's got it right now. Great. You want to meet, these types of people. So if you ever need thought joggers on your demo, guess what? You've got some A1 thought joggers right in that notebook before you go to other thought joggers. So be like, cool. What about the other soccer moms on this, on the soccer team? How many people does Tony play with on the soccer team? Oh, he plays with about 15 people. Great. Guess what? That's 15 recs. So realize that, use this stuff as ammunition. Exactly, Ashton, ammo. And then also, so that's the first page of it. And then the second page of my notebook, like the back of it, I write down like the person's name. So let's say her name was Mrs. Jones. I go, Mrs. Jones, world's nicest people. That's what I write at the top. Big letters, very easy to read, especially on Zoom. Mrs. Jones, world's nicest people. And I have it numbered. I have it pre-numbered 1 to 15. And when I talk about the rec approach, or like when I'm reciting the rec approach to Mrs. Jones, so of course, I think it would be ultimately best to have just a rec notebook and then just a demo notebook, just because then it's really easy to rip out sheets and you won't be like, you won't get unorganized by doing that. Just because I remember my rec binder was just only recommendations. And I don't know if Brian or any of, I know you guys probably remember this, but Drew Frank used to talk about how each page was like full of 15, 10, 10, 15, 15 recommendations. And that's the power of social proof. What I did was I took all my sheets that had 10 plus recommendations and I put them in a binder. And then as I was reciting my rec approach memorized, really confident, I was flipping through this notebook, and all Mrs. Jones sees is 15 people, 15, 15, 15, 10, 15, 20, 15, 10, 20, 15. This is what Sinan does too, by the way. So for those of you that are like really shocked by when Sinan gets on average 20 recommendations per demo, he has it all organized, and there isn't one person that gives them less than 15. So that way, when you get recommendations, Mr. and Mrs. Jones are like thinking to themselves, man, I don't want to be the only person that doesn't give Jacob 15 rocks. and they'll give you those 15. And I always like, yeah, there's Brian's. They always point them in the direction of, so Brian here, really quick, I'm gonna spotlight you. So like, this is what I mean. He's got the Rex all on there. And you could see that Brian gets a lot of Rex. And by the way, you could also take notes on these people. You can qualify them, which is what we're going to talk about next. You're going to qualify them. But yes, really key point there, Brian. Thank you for showing that. I wish I had mine handy just because the power of me showing you all of that is huge. And by the way, let that be a standard. Getting 15 recommendations, like that's a standard. Why? That's how you get into those better networks, better communities. I know for those of you that watch the Miguel Sanchez Tortoledo rec video, he gets his best recommendations from like 20 to 30. He gets 30 recs on that demo, but between number 20 and 30, those are the best customers. And she says, she's like, oh, this person, she would love to buy everything. This person, oh yeah, her husband's a lawyer. Oh yeah, this person, like, and she just starts giving fire recs. Realize that if you're not getting more than 5 recs, you're leaving a lot on the table in terms of what kind of networks you're getting into. I always sat for recs for at least 15, 20, 25 minutes. I had them connect me to people like doctors, surgeons, lawyers. Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, as you know, I'm going to school for molecular biology, and I want to meet as many doctors and surgeons as possible. So who do you know who's a doctor? Who do you know who's a surgeon? Guess what? I got recommended to a surgeon maybe 2 times out of like 350 demos. But those demos were fire. And that's how I got some of the job offers that I talk about. It's by meeting the right people. It's not about quantity. Yes, it's about quantity, but it's also about quality. So really, finding the perfect balance between those two. But also the reason why you want to show the 15, it's social proof. Social proof is massive because then again, they'll be like, okay, I don't want to be the only person that doesn't get 15. And then also what you want to do at this point is qualify recommendations. So what is qualifying? Qualifying is finding out more info about these people. So for those of you that will do this and take all these notes and run with it, you guys are going to crush it. Like your average order is going to go up just by doing this, by the way, because you're showing Cutco to the right people. So by the way, who on here has ever called someone and you didn't ask if their spouse was going to be there and you realized that they were single? Yep, we've all been there before, and it's tough, but like you're digging yourself, a hole in the wrong direction. You're not going up, you're going down, because that population or that community, they're going to keep recommending you to people like that. Birds of a feather flock together. So it's really important to make sure that you're qualifying. So a couple of qualifying questions that these are the questions that you ask after you get let's say your 10 or 15 recommendations. So you go, hey, Ms. Jones, thank you so much for these recommendations. And then you want to ask them some questions. So Mrs. Jones, who on this list is married? Oh, Jacob, everyone's married. Awesome. Thank you so much, Mrs. Jones. And then I go, okay, great. Mrs. Jones, who on this list has kids? Oh, Jacob, everyone on this list has kids. Man, this is me in my head. I'm just so excited. I'm just like, these are going to be some fire demos. All right, great, Mrs. Jones. And who on this list would you say has the nicest kitchen? Who has the nicest kitchen? Oh, yeah, Julia, she just upgraded. They just remodeled her kitchen just last month. You're definitely going to want to go see Julia. Awesome. I can't wait. And then you just ask these questions. Hey, Mrs. Jones, who on this list would you say hosts all the parties over the summer, like 4th of July, pool parties? Like who's the one on this list that does that? And then guess what? If she didn't give you that person, she'll be like, oh, I actually didn't give you that person yet. Here you go. This is the person that you want to see. And then I got another recommendation. And it's like, wow. And I'm going to put that person I just got, I'm going to put a few stars by them, because that's a person that loves to entertain, loves to host, and is like the social butterfly. That person's probably going to give me like 20, 30 recommendations. And then it's just like game over from that point. And for those of you that have seen Tyler Park speak, his average order is over 1,000 CPO. Why? Because he's showing the right people. He talks about in his video or in his audio on Vector Connect. It's called Prospecting in $1 Million Homes. He says, either you could get twice as good at your demo or you could show better people. And he sold, well, Brian, you probably know these stats better than me, but he's had an SE2 push that he sold, what was it, like 62 grand in 17 days?
It was like 70-ish.
Yeah, 70 grand in 17 days. Like, this guy is a monster. I'm going to show you guys a couple of the audios. But yeah, next key is to make sure you qualify those recommendations. And as far as another quick qualifying question that you want to use that will help you book up more demos. Does anyone want to know about a question that you can use to book up more demos? Yeah. So the question is, hey, Mrs. Jones, what's a fun fact about each person here? And then you find out that, great, let's say Michelle, she's the soccer, like the head soccer mom of the soccer team. Awesome. She always brings all the snacks, all the fruit, all the waters for all the kids. And we just pay her and she just takes care of it all. Great. Let's say another fun fact is, oh yeah, this Mrs. Jones, her husband's a mechanic and he works on NASCAR cars. Oh, cool. Sweet. All these little fun facts are probably gonna be super random, but guess what? When you phone these people, let's say you find out that Mrs. Jones loves to garden, then you go right down, Mrs. Jones loves to garden. Then when I'm calling Mrs. Jones, I read my approach. Oh, your friend Susie told me that you love the garden. Is that true? Oh my gosh, Jacob, I garden every single year. You should see her backyard. She starts glowing and she's thinking to herself, how does this person know more about me than I know about them? I want to meet this person. And guess what? There's already rapport there. She's going to book up the demo. You ask her husband to be there, she's going to get her husband there. Why? Because you know more about her than she knows about you. That's a fire thing that I used to do to book up most of my demos. Really making sure that you are asking the right questions in terms of qualifying. And the last thing I want to do, as far as my third key here today, is to point you in the right direction on where to find, the best ways to build up your skill set. I know I've shared this with a lot of you already, but I want to point you guys in the right direction of some really good audios regarding recommendations that will just change the game for you. So you're going to go to Vector Connect. So here's Vector Connect. You're going to go ahead and sign in. And then we're going to go to the sidebar. We're going to go to library, audio library. And then you're going to go to the audio library and you're going to search up. There's some really good ones. One of my favorite ones that I would recommend starting off with, that's pretty simple, pretty short, that's going to add a lot of value to you, is going to be Chelsea Banks. Chelsea Banks. So you can type in Chelsea. You'll see Chelsea. It'll just pop up. Yeah, it's called Rocking Referrals. It'll pop up right there when you type in Chelsea. And what you're going to do is you're going to click on this. And it's not going to start playing right away. If you try to hit the play button here, it's not going to play right away. But you want to make sure that you find the one that's highlighted, and then you click on it.
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah, we can, Chelsea. But yeah, this is a really good one to start off with in terms of just like anyone at any stage right now. If you want to improve your skill set, by the way, one of the keys to being a great assistant manager is really expanding your capacity and expanding your skill set so that you could coach people to a higher level. So if you're free, what I used to do all the time between demos, I used to always listen to a Vector Connect talk. As I would walk back from class or walk to class, if I was more free or more available, I would listen to a Vector Connect talk. Literally every opportunity I could. I did a lot of this during net time, no extra time needed, net time, no extra time needed. So for example, if I was like, cutting the grass, I would put in my headphones, listen to a Vector Connect talk. If I was shoveling the snow, if I was walking the dog, if I was working out, sometimes I would listen, like half my workout would be music, half my workout would be a Vector Connect talk. And realize that this is going to help you be a better leader in the office. And if you are not an assistant manager, this will really impress your manager by having these. Like, I was super impressed when I heard that Jacquees, has been on Vector Connect that whole past week where she sold $4 grand. I was really impressed. And I was like, wow, that's someone that I want to have as an assistant manager on my team. But I know She's an assistant manager in our district team, which I'm 100% cool with, and she's awesome. But I want to see more of you kind of level up to go to that. Next one I want to point you guys in the direction of, two is going to be Tyler Park, prospecting into $1 million homes. So you're going to type in Tyler. And here it is, prospecting $1 million homes, Tyler Park. It's 28 minutes. This is the guy that sold 70 grand in a 17-day push. Really, really, really good. If you're ever looking for a way to build up your skill, just type in what you're struggling with. You know, recs, for example. Averaging 10 recs per appointment, Amy Bergen. Fire. Check that one out. And what I want you to do, by the way, by the end of this, you know, little message here that I'm giving, I want you to text your manager what 2 talks or what 1 talk are you listening to, and when are you going to listen to it by. I'm going to give you guys some more. I'm going to type in one for referrals. We'll find a few here. How to get 40 referrals on a one-on-one. 40. Wow. That's a little bit of a longer talk, but I think that would be worth it. The No BS Guide to Referrals, John Israel. Rebecca Huckby, referrals, Justin Ledford. Yeah, pretty fire ones. Let's see if I type in recommendations. Customer recommendations, Chris Davidson. Awesome. Another great one. And by the way, if you're ever struggling with anything else outside of Rex, just type in what you're struggling with. Go to closing. Closing like a master, Kristen Brindley. Fire. Closing mastery, Curtis J. Hughes. Curtis J. Hughes has been winning the Silver Cup in his category for forever. He sells 800K plus a year, makes 400 grand. I think it'd be a good idea to listen to. Closing bigger, better, and more often, Nick Ruiz. Closing power, Hal Elrod. Fire. Advanced closing, always get a yes. Keys to closing, John Berghoff. John Berghoff is an author now. Closing the sale, closing part 1, closing part 2. J. Brad's amazing as well. Secrets of closing the sale. So obviously, as you guys know, there's a lot of resources out there. So let me just like clear it. There's 1,300 Vector Connect audios. So don't tell us that you don't know where to go. Like, we want you to be resourceful. Act as if you're not an AM, act as if you're an AM. If you're not on key staff, act as if you're on key staff. That's how we promote people. If you're not the branch manager, if you're not being promoted to branch manager, act as if you're the branch manager. That's leadership. And that's how you get good at anything. It's really taking initiative. Don't wait for someone to tell you to do something. If you're struggling with it, build up your skill set. Those are the leaders that we want to build with. And of course, we will help you guys get your skills to the next level as well. So what I want you guys to do is really quick. I know not everyone did this yet, but I want you to text your manager. What 2 talks are you going to listen to? Or if you don't know the exact 2 talks, when are you going to listen to these 2 talks by? When are you going to listen to these 2 talks by? If you don't know exactly what talks, that's okay. But when are you going to listen to those 2 talks by? Is it going to be by the end of the day today? Is it going to be by the end of the day tomorrow? Is it going to be on the way to your next class? When you're walking to class? Is it going to be, I don't know, when you're getting ready for school? Is it going to be when you're taking a shower? Like, when you don't have to like share with us when you're going to do it. Like, yes, share with us by what time, but it doesn't matter like how you do it, as long as you really are focused and engaged. Text your manager. I'm getting some text. Thank you, Lindley. Thank you, Cream. Thank you, Evan. Thank you, Scotty. Thank you, Theo. Thank you, Allie. Allie, 1 a day. Love that. That's how you're going to get good at the job. 1 a day. Micah, awesome. Sweet. Love to see that. Reason why we're doing this, by the way, is because now I want you guys to take action. When in your schedule are you putting it? When are you doing this? When are you doing these activities? Put it in your schedule. Is it going to be after this meeting? Is it going to be after a demo today? Is it going to be before a demo today? Honor that time. Because that's how you're going to become better at the job. That's how you're going to get that average order through the roof. That's how you're going to get your closing percentage go through the roof. Do you guys want to make more money here? Do you guys want to have an awesome experience here? I know a lot of you already have. Awesome, great, but let's take it to the next level. There's a lot out there, and we want to help you, but we also want to teach you how to be resourceful. We want to teach you how to be independent, because you guys are the future leaders of the entire team this summer. I think about how many people we're going to be having on the teams this summer. Imagine a Zoom call with 100+ people. You guys are the leaders of that. Sounds really exciting. So what I want you guys to do is I'm going to get some quick takeaways before we start phoning here. So let me just go ahead and I want to get everyone to put a takeaway in the chat box, and then I'm going to get 3 takeaways live. So everyone put a takeaway in the chat box, and I'm going to get 3 takeaways live. Drop a quick takeaway in the chat. Fun fact. Great. Who on this list hosts all the parties? Awesome. Utilize Vector Connect Talks. Awesome point. Use resources to get better and improve. Qualifying demos. Spending time doing that. What's a fun fact about each person on this list? Build your social proof. Evan, net, no extra time needed. Yes, do it during net time. Who's the unofficial mayor of the town? Who is the actual mayor? That's a good one. Act as if. Memorize the approach. Finding the right people for my demos and memorize the rec approach. Who on this list is married versus, oh, are they married? Guys, it's really awkward when you when you're calling Mr. and Mrs. Jones, or when you're calling Mrs. Jones and you ask her spouse to be there, but she's not married. It's awkward. So handle that in advance. By the way, how can you handle it on the phone call? You just ask them, Miss Jones, are you married? But take care of it before it even comes up. You already know that they're married. Hey, Miss Jones, I know you're married. Can your spouse be there too? That's rapport. Hey, Mrs. Jones, I know your husband's name is David. Can David be there too? Why? Because I know from my previous demo where I got recommended to her that she gave me all the spouses' names. Hey, Mrs. Jones, what are their spouses' names? That's another good question to ask for qualifying. Confidence comes with mindset. Find out someone on the list was, I don't imagine a phone call. Yeah, exactly. I've had that happen before too, where I asked and she shared that with me, and I just didn't know what to say, and I apologized. And she said, Jake, oh, don't worry about it. But it was a little awkward. And I want to get three takeaways here. Let's hear one from Jalen.
I think one big takeaway for me personally is getting a separate notebook to put my recs in, because I've been doing like the sticky note route and I lose sticky notes and stuff like that. So I could probably be like losing recs. So
Yeah,
getting a separate notebook for that is definitely important for me.
Great one. Love to hear that. Let's go over to Miss Richards. Alex.
I think having the like the piece of paper labeled from 1 to 15 already, and having like Mrs. Jones World's nice people on there really has a lot of influence. So just doing that and
Yes.
being consistent with that.
It does. It has a lot of influence. So like, by the way, for some of you that are like, oh man, like, what am I going to do? Like, give yourself 10 minutes before demo, 15 minutes before demo to prep yourself for the demo. I know Lindley shared with me a lot of preparation for a demo. So Lindley, what do you do to prepare for a demo before you go into it?
Well, first of all, I put on my Spotify playlist to get in the right mood, and I jump around and
That's right.
get in a good mood. I typically look at things that I will, oh, I'm spotlighted. I'll typically look at the notes that I took when phoning with them. So like I mentioned on Wednesday at the team meeting, I called a lady I don't know when I mentioned this, but I called a lady who said she's going to be in Galveston this weekend at her friend's house, and she was telling me how beautiful it's going to be.
I
And
even remember that because you shared it with us.
yeah, I have a demo with her on Monday, so I jotted down not only that she'll be in Galveston, but to ask about her friend whose house is in Galveston. So I'll do that. I'll look to see how I know them, because at this point I have no idea who these people are or how I got in touch with them. I'll go back to my notebook. What I do is I write down my recs in my demo notebook, and then I transfer because I don't have removable pages, I transfer those with 10 or more names into my rec notebook, because I don't want to show them that people are giving me 3 recs like it happens, but I don't want them to see that, so I transfer
Right.
it. And then I make sure I have a full glass of water, I set up my lights, and I have all my knives out, which I shouldn't have in college, but don't tell anyone. So
Nobody needs to know. Cool. How long does that process take? Like, how much time do you give yourself?
10 minutes, not like
10 minutes. Awesome. So for some of you that may not be doing this, instead of like spending that 10 minutes or like, getting ready at the last minute, like give yourself those 10 minutes. Give Mrs. Jones those 10 minutes, because when you prepare, you're going to do a way better demo. So give yourself those 10 minutes to do a better demo for Mrs. Jones. That's going to be fire. Thank you for sharing, Lindley. But sweet. Got all the takeaways. Hope you guys had some fire notes. I saw a lot of really fire takeaways in the chat. Remember 3 keys. Number 1 is your mindset. Are you asking for a lot? No, you're not asking for a lot. Just be confident with it. Have it memorize the rec approach. Key number 2 was the actual approach and what to do on how to just take your skill set to the next level. And then number 3 was just wrapping up with some resources on what you could do to get better at the job. So let's have a kick ASS Saturday.